Hello everybody. In continuation of our degoogling phones series on this channel, today we will be doing a Moto G7 Power. This is a great phone. It's pretty powerful with an octa-core processor and 3 gigs of RAM. Because it's the Power series, it also has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. This request came in from one of you who contacted me offline for a burner phone, and this makes an awesome burner phone because it was $110 and it came almost spotless except for a scratch on the back cover. For those of you who are concerned, don't worry, this person is not going to harm the boys in blue. He is not going to frighten our Congress critters because he does not live in the United States. I'm not exactly sure what he wants to do with a burner phone, if he wants to criticize the Thai prince or just fly to Cuba to reunite a boy with his father. Regardless, he wants a relatively cheap phone that he can throw away if he needs to. Before we fully get started, I have just a quick warning. Doing most of these actions will wipe your phone, so be sure to back it up first. Second, it is possible while doing flashing operations to permanently damage your phones. I've done this to my Moto G8, which is a very similar one to this, but apparently there was a way to recover from the error that I made. I just had to take the phone apart. Android Doctor came up with a video recently where he explained it. This phone is very similar in construction, so there's usually a way to get back to it with the Moto G7s because they're so well documented, but that is a risk that you run with any of these phones, is hard bricking them to be completely unrecoverable. So do this at your own risk. The first thing that you need to do with any of these Android devices, as I've learned the hard way, is to fully update them to the latest version. This is running Android 10. If you don't update to the latest version, you're probably going to have some problems after flashing, and sometimes just certain things on the phone don't work. Once it's updated all the way, you will want to make sure that it's charged at least 60% and back up all of your data, as I mentioned before. So since everything is taken care of on this device, I'm just going to go ahead and unlock USB debugging. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to settings, going down to about phone, and then tapping build number 7 times until developer mode unlocks, and then go back, and then go to system, advanced, developer options, and then we are going to unlock OEM unlocking, and we will unlock USB debugging. When it asks about allowing USB debugging, click OK. And now we're going to plug in a USB cable. And we should get a prompt asking us if we want to allow USB debugging from this device. Go over to our command line system. It used to be that you would go into the ADB folder and then shift right click to open up a PowerShell, or you would type CMD in the top here, but it looks like most of the ADB installers now for Windows actually install into your system. So I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. You will need the latest ADB installed. The link in the thread that I'll provide for XDA forms looks like it's not being updated. So just go to the last instance of ADB on that thread until someone says something along the lines of OP has finally started updating this thread again. Because I'm running this on Linux, there's going to be some minor things that are a little bit different for us. Now, number one, I do have ADB open in this folder with copy-partitions, Lineage18, with the Ocean image, which is the code name for the G7 Power, and then the TWRP installer. This is going to be a little bit different than my other install videos because it uses TWRP, which is really a handy tool. I'm not a big fan of touchscreen, but it does some stuff that you don't normally get with ADB and Fastboot. Right now, our first command that we're going to do is, because the phone's still powered on, we're going to type in ADB reboot fastboot. And this will reboot us into fastboot. Now it's asking for permission to do USB debugging. And we just click always remember this device and then allow. On a Windows computer, it's ADB reboot fastboot. On a Linux computer, it is sudo ADB reboot fastboot. And this just gives us super admin permissions. And the phone should reboot into fastboot. That's what it looks like right there. Sudo fastboot devices. And we can see right there that we have Motorola fastboot interface. Clear. We have access to the phone because it didn't give us an error when we typed that in to check to make sure the phone was connected. Now we can type in, if you're on Windows, you type in fastboot OEM get unlock data. On Linux, this is sudo fastboot OEM get unlock data. The only difference, of course, is on Linux you do this sudo beforehand for super admin permissions. And this doesn't work in root. Normally, when I do these videos, I log in as root, but for some reason, this information does not come back correct. Up until a certain point. Once we start to get to the lineage install, I'll stop typing in sudo. You can see that we have this unlock code. The purpose of this unlock code is that we will go to the Motorola website and get an unlock code. Recent updates have made it so that you cannot unlock your phone unless you go through specific sets of steps. I think this was at the request of the carriers. What you'll do is you'll go to the link that I have down in the description below for unlocking your bootloader. You're going to go through and read all of the risks, and then you're going to click next, and then you will log in to your account, which I'm already logged in. And here's the command right here, OEM get unlock data. You'll take this output from your command line, and then you will put it through this data scrub tool. You'll paste it in, and then format your data. You will copy this, close the window, paste it here, and then ask if your phone can be unlocked. If you have a Amazon or Verizon version of the phone, it may not unlock. If you have the global version, T-Mobile, AT&T, it probably will unlock. And then you can click, can my phone be unlocked? You will go through and you will agree to this license. Basically, it means that your warranty is void. You agree, and then you ask for your unlock code. Once you get your unlock code, you will be able to unlock your phone. And the command for that is going to be on Windows, fastboot OEM unlock. On Linux, it's sudo fastboot OEM unlock. But there's something important here. You need to put in your unlock token that came out of your web browser. In my case, I already have mine. I might blur this out or blur one of these partially out. I'm not sure how private they're supposed to be. And then click enter. It runs a warning for you saying that this will erase all data. And this is why I recommend at the beginning of the video that you back everything up before you attempt this. And then you rerun the command. All right, now the phone is wiped. What I'm going to do is restart the phone, and I'm not sure if this is absolutely necessary, but I do remember when I was doing stuff on my Moto G8 that every operation that wiped the phone, you had to log back in and then re-unlock it. So I'm doing this partly out of good measure. While that reboots, I'm just going to let you know that the next part of this is going to be instructions from the LineageOS website. And that information is pulled up on the screen for you right now. These instructions are pretty clear. It is a TWRP install, as mentioned before. While we wait for the phone to reboot, I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, so we're back at the phone. We'll just go through the setup steps. All right, we're back in. We need to re-enable USB debugging. Once again, we just go over to Settings, to the bottom, About Phone, build number 7 times, down to System, Advanced, and Developer Options. OEM unlocking is already fully unlocked and grayed out. We just need to turn on USB debugging and click OK. Since we're plugged in, we can click Always Allow from this device. OK. And we can go back over to our command line. Let's clear this. Type in ADB devices. Oh, probably sudo ADB devices. And you can see that it is still hooked in. Over at our instructions, we have the information here to unlock the bootloader. Yeah, this has everything in it that we already went over. Temporarily boot a custom recovery using fastboot. Since USB debugging is enabled, we can reboot the phone. So sudo adb reboot fastboot. And while we're at it, I can log back in as root. On Windows, you don't have this issue because you typically run CMD or PowerShell as root, but on Linux, you will need to change over to root, and then the rest of this video should look the same whether we're on Linux or Windows. For this next part, we need to temporarily boot into a custom recovery. While we're here, we can type in fastboot devices to make sure that we have full access, and we do. There's nothing here that says disabled or unavailable. Looks like we're in the LineageOS Moto G7 folder in my downloads directory, but we can get a list of which files we have. The instructions look like fastboot flash boot lineage recovery ocean, and that flashed. Looks like they now want you to shut it down. Just with the device powered off, hold volume down plus power, then select recovery mode via the volume keys. So we'll power off the device. And it's charging. So now we can hold down power and volume down until we feel it vibrate. There. So now we go over down to recovery mode. They put a lot of warnings in here that your device could be vulnerable to attackers. That's really mainly a concern if you have a bad ROM. Really, anytime that if someone does anything with your phone or your bootloader unlocked, what's going to happen is they're going to have to wipe your device to get access to it. So it's easier for them to steal your device. A lot of the safety mechanisms that are built in, like your ability to track a phone down after it's been stolen or gone. That's one of the reasons why I like to use relatively inexpensive phones for degoogling anyway. Now that we're in recovery, we need to sideload the copy-partitions file. To do this, we're just going to go down, click Advanced. The instructions say to select ADB sideload, but I don't see that option. So let's click on Enable ADB and then see what happens. All right, it looks like by advancing towards that end, we are now able to go to ADB sideload. We are on active slot A. It says, in some cases, slot B can be unpopulated or contain much older firmware than slot A, leading to various issues, including potential hard break. We can ensure that none of this will happen by copying the contents of slot A to slot B, and we are flashing software that does copy partitions. So I think we're supposed to be on slot A. So we can go ahead and clear this. And we can follow the next instruction, which is ADB sideload copy partitions. And enter. It says signature verification failed. File name that we are targeting for the MD5 sum is copy-partitions from March 23rd. And we're going to double check that the MD5 matches between these two. There's probably a way to do this automatically where it would come back as true, but I'm just going to check it visually. MD sum does match up between the link that was provided by LineageOS, and I do trust LineageOS. I don't think they would mislead us, so I'm going to accept that the MD5 checksum matches between the two files. So even though the signature does fail, I will go ahead and sideload this copy partitions over onto slot A. The phone now is asking for verification, and I'll just click yes. We will wait for that to complete. I'm going to pause the video right here. This next part looks relatively straightforward. Download the LineageOS installation package or install it by yourself. I've pulled all of this out of the links that they've given. So the recovery image is included in the documentation. That's right here for April 10th, which is the most recent release. And then this is a much larger file, Lineage 18.1. This is what will be installed. This is a nightly build, so it may not be the most stable, but LineageOS is known for one of the better maintained Android open source project versions out on the market right now. So we'll go ahead and go back. Let's reboot. And go back into recovery. We're going to go into ADB and then apply update. Get a list. The ADB sideload command will be for this one right here because this is the largest file in the folder. Let's see, this is 59996. It's the one that does not say recovery in it. It's ocean sign zip. The instruction they give is ADB sideload file name. If we want to type in file name, we want to give it the file name. We'll monitor the device for any kind of prompts if it needs us to approve. All right, and at this point they say that if you want to install any other add-ons, you can do that now. This would be where if you wanted to do micro-G spoofing services, you could. That would give you some access, additional access to Google Apps if you wanted access to those types of things, or if you wanted to load in just straight Google Apps. We don't do that on this channel, but you are free to if you'd like to. Now the instructions are to go back and then reboot the system now. And at this point, it should boot into LineageOS. Now, a tip while we're rebooting, the Moto G7 Once you unlock the bootloader, it basically can't be locked, at least with the latest updates. Before this video, I had unlocked the bootloader, and then when I attempted to relock it, I essentially soft bricked it. There is software available through Motorola that will allow you to recover your phone back to factory settings, and I'll leave a link to that in the description as well for any of you who do make mistakes. We're going to format our data because it says that the data in the system may be corrupt. We'll see if I soft brick this thing. I did not, because LineageOS is now loading just fine. All right, now we're doing initial setup. We'll just get a quick look at the initial screen. Looks like LineageOS is started. If you want to install a non-spoofing version or a version of microG that cannot spoof for some of the Google apps, you'll just go to your web browser and search for microG via DuckDuckGo. I'm not connected to Wi-Fi, of course, so that won't work here. And you'll install the F-Droid store, and from the F-Droid store you can install Aurora if you want access to some of those Google apps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the description down below. I'm always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions for the next phone you'd like to see me de-Google. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thanks for stopping by. This is Nick, signing out.